I am behind the 8 ball again and not having everything ready like I should to be live. So here we are. Thank you for joining us. I'm Annette Richmond. This is my good friend Gillian, and we are here today to celebrate the launch of her book. And I'm so excited to be here with you. So why don't you, kick it off and tell us a little bit about, how this got started and whatever you want to say.
Awesome. Well, it's kind of funny because I tell people it's like, well, I was flat on my back with pneumonia. So it was just like, I was lying in bed kind of thinking about stuff. And I went, I think I should start talking about being a LinkedIn Live guest, because so many people, I so believe in LinkedIn Live. I so believe that this is the best way to build your brand and get visibility and attract clients and all that good stuff. But so many people are like, LinkedIn Live, I don't want to host a show. There's too much. It's like they get all freaked out and they don't want to do it. And it's really been my kind of thing that I've been telling people, start small by being a guest. So as I was lying flat on my back, recovering from pneumonia, I started getting this idea that I would start putting it all together. And at first I kind of thought, oh, it'll just be an article. And then it's just like, I guess I just had too much to say, because it turned into a book. And I think that that's kind of, if anything, I can tell this to people. We all have a book in us. And I think we all have several books in us. And a lot of times when you have an idea, just run with it, just start pounding out all the things. And so I wrote my book by talking my book because I was in bed. So I just got Otter AI out and I started talking into my Otter app. And I said, okay, yeah, I think we need to do this, this, and this. And I kind of, put it together. And then of course, when I was feeling a little bit better, then I was able to take all that information plus some stuff that I had before and put it all in together, make an outline, and it turned into a book. So that's kind of the story.
So I'm excited. We have to say hello to our guest. Hi to Jeff Young, our buddy who we spent, this is his third time with us this week. Thank you so much for being here. And Kevin Turner. Hey, Kevin, thank you for joining us. So happy to have you. And of course, Michelle Griffin. Hello from Florida. Congratulations to Gillian. And Michelle just is getting her book out too. She was running that 30-day book writing challenge. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. But it's like, shiny object for me. It's like, can't do everything. And also our friend G is here. Happy launch day. So excited for you, Gillian. This book is a must for anyone to want to be a positively memorable guest. And that's so true, to be positively remembered, because, some guests are just, anyway. So, and hello, Tina, joining us from Brussels. Of course.
Heart. If I could do the heart thing.
Of course. Thank you. Hi. And Marcia is here as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled, actually excited, because this just kind of was a spur of the moment thing for us that came up after our live together on Tuesday.
And I appreciated Annette so much, because first of all, you've been like on a live every day this week. You're like, okay, I'm exhausted already. But she did this special thing for me. And first of all, I was like, no, it's too much fuss. It's too much. That's an introvert though. Introverts are not good at being in the spotlight. They prefer to be the host and not the center of attention. But, hey, I really appreciate this, Annette, and I appreciate everybody that came out today to support me. It just goes to show you that, Michelle's writing a book. G is writing a book. It's like everybody's writing a book. If you're not writing a book, you're not leaving a legacy. Really, really.
And Tina just she just launched a book a couple months ago. So I know I better get on that bandwagon. I feel like I'm left out. So, it's so exciting to be here. So you've kind of waved the book around a little bit. So let us see it. Let us see it.
So this is the author's proof. So that's why there's a line through it, because I'm still waiting for my author copies. Oh, I can't do this. So this is it. LinkedIn Live Guest Mastery. And essentially it's kind of like, well, not kind of like, it is. It's a Bible. It's a reference on everything that you need to know to be a LinkedIn Live guest. And it's kind of the book that I think of every LinkedIn Live host would appreciate people reading it before they're a guest on your show, because it's all those things that Annette and I have talked about over the years of, please don't come on my show and make a big sales pitch from the stage, and, be on time and make sure you have the link so that you know how to, hit the show. How many people at the last minute are like, oh, I don't remember where I put the link, all those different things, or they don't have they don't know what equipment they need to have, or they pitch and you're the wrong show. And Annette, where people have said, oh, I'd love to be a guest on your podcast, because both Annette and I take our LinkedIn Lives and turn them into podcasts. And then we tell them, well, Annette, you told me first that you tell people, but my show is a LinkedIn Live that's repurposed. So that would mean you'd have to be a guest on my LinkedIn Live. And they're like,
that's it. Goodbye forever.
Yeah. And I get a lot of podcast agencies that are booking people. And, no, I'm not, snapping on those agencies at all. But sometimes these people are so not a right fit for me. Like they're coming on and that's like, okay, I'd like to do this guest who's all about Instagram. And it's like, my show's about LinkedIn Live. It's like LinkedIn easy peasy. This is not a good fit. So it's, and it's not good for you as the guest to be on the wrong show, because it's not about, we all want visibility. It has to be visibility with the right target market.
Yeah. And as Gillian says, not all guests are created equal. My most recent one, and Jeff loves my scarves. Thank you. I had my husband pull this out from our holiday decorations this morning so I could be celebrating, dressed correctly, appropriately for this festivity today. But my last one was a pitch. It's actually from a person, I'm sure a very nice man, a CFO, to come on, chief financial officer, to come on my content marketing school and talk about, I don't know, financial statements or something. I was like, no, just because you do a search and it says podcast or broadcast does not mean it's for you. So I want to say this, and here's Michelle saying that she talks to text for a lot of her book as well. My brain and ideas fire faster than I can type, so it's easier to clean up afterwards. Yeah, isn't that the truth? I do that with all kinds of posts. So do you want to share some? I have one more person. Okay, let's get G up here too. And so here she says, I snagged my Kindle copy and my spring copy must be print. Print copy is arriving today, Gillian. Thrilled to add it to my Gillian Whitney collection, because this is your third book. I downloaded mine this morning too, but I've just been really busy and I haven't had a chance to peek yet. So this is number 3.
Yep. And just like you just said, Annette, you can download it. So that's the thing that I want everybody to know. If you are watching this on Friday, June 21st, the book is free, because that's how I roll. So that the Kindle copy is free. You can't get the print copy for free because, Amazon's got their cut and everything else. But the Kindle copy is free today. And it's up till midnight Pacific time. So where in the world you're tuning in from, just know that you can get it today. And a lot of people don't know this, Annette. You do not have to have a Kindle to read a Kindle book. So there's actually, Amazon puts out a free Kindle app. If you actually go into Amazon and you see where my book is, there's actually a QR code that you can scan and download the app. But you can read a Kindle book you just need the Kindle app, which is 100% free. And you can read it on your computer, Windows or Mac. You can read it on a tablet. That's what I do, because I'm a digital nomad. So I have like a gazillion books on my tablet. And you can read it on a phone. It's kind of hard to read on a phone, but you can read, if you're a phone person, you can read it. And the nice thing about an ebook, just for people who don't know this, is that ebooks resize and reformat for the device so that you're in total control. You can say, I want it on dark mode. I do that because I read in bed, and my poor husband, he's one of those people, he hits the pillow and he's like totally out, and I'm up there reading all night. And I love reading on my Kindle because I put it on the dark mode so that it's not shining a lot of light. But you can make the font your size, whatever you want it to be. So that's just a good thing. So go get the book for free, and don't worry that you don't have a Kindle. Just get it for free.
No, I do that too. I read all of my Kindle books. I read them on my iPad. And so here's Linda Brubaker. Nice to see you again. Saw Linda earlier today. So excited for your new book, to read your new book. So thank you. Thank you so much. So, it is so we have so many comments coming in that I want you to talk about your book, but here we go. Oh, here she is. We're putting it up here in case somebody's watching the replay later today. And I know some people will be doing that. It's free for today. Oh my goodness. Look at Kevin. Already read it and left a video recommendation.
Wow. I'm honored, Kevin. I'm honored.
And he says you can read it in your browser, which is true. I mean, it's really, really, really so cool. And we have one more question here that you have to address. Can I purchase the print copy? Again, it's signed directly from you, Gillian.
Yes. Just DM me and we'll work it out.
Okay. I'll have to get in on that myself. So why don't you tell us, if you can, share a little bit. I know there's a strategy today. It's free, but how does the pricing go? Because I know it goes like over the weekend.
So over the weekend. So I launched it last night at midnight, and I have to tell the story in a second because it's just like only me. But anyways, I launched it at midnight because that's the way Amazon works. And for some reason, Amazon works on Pacific time. So it launched last night at 12 o'clock midnight, and it's free all day until midnight tonight. Then over the weekend, the book's going to be 99 cents. So for anybody who doesn't make it today, the pricing is just 99 cents on Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday, it goes up to $2.99. So if you don't snag the free copy, grab the 99-cent version. And even $2.99, it's not breaking the bank. And the print copy is $8.99. So again, it's not breaking the bank. And this is actually a big book. This like my other books have been. My first book was kind of little, but that's the thing. We overthink these things. So my first book was like, it was complete, and I wanted to get it out there, and I got it out there, and it was short and sweet and to the point. My second book was a little bit longer, and this is the biggest one yet, because I think I just told you it was like 157 pages or something like that. No pictures. It's just, stuff. But in the book, what I cover is why you should even be doing this, like why you should be a LinkedIn Live guest. This is really important for you to get out there and use this as a tool to build your brand and be more visible. It's really a great way to get out there. So I talk about why it's even important in the first place, but then I talk you through how to find the right shows, how to pitch yourself as a guest so that the guest, so that the host actually thinks that you're a good thing, all the ducks you need to have in a row before you're ready to pitch yourself as a guest, and then how to prepare to be the guest on the live, because it's not just showing up. And it's the good etiquette that you need to have, how to figure out your talking points, what to do, and then the missed opportunities people do by just being on a live and saying, okay, that was great. No. That's just the beginning, because then comes, what do you do with all this content afterwards? And I walk you through how to use these live appearances to take it further and make evergreen content.
Yeah, I love that. So here we go. So Linda just downloaded it, and Michelle said she bought hers yesterday. And here's Jeff, a little plug, $8.99 for the print copy. What a bargain. It is. That's a big book. I'll tell you, we were talking a little bit about this, and then Marcia thinks Jeff is funny. Well, Jeff is always funny. We appreciate his humor. But, we were talking about that earlier, the idea that books are kind of getting shorter and shorter. And I think it's because people don't have a lot of time. They want something they can digest quickly. And I was just looking off to the side because I have your first book in print copy, but I don't have it right here. And I was going to like pull it up and show it on the screen, but sadly not here. So anyway, so I love that. And it is so true. So do you have any tips for people on like preparing before they go live? Because, as G said, all guests are not created equal. And while I know on your live shows, my live shows, our guests don't come on to sit in the hot seat and be peppered with questions.
No, no.
A good host, I like to think we're both good hosts, makes it all about the guests and you want them to feel comfortable. But I think there is a bit of onus on the guests to really, to just
Prepare.
be prepared to talk about their area of expertise, because it is a real challenge when you're the host and, your guests, you say, well, what do you think about the blah, 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 whatever it is? And they go, yes, I agree with that. And then
And you're like,
uh.
and you've nailed it, Annette. It's these guest appearances are a dialogue. They're not a monologue. So you don't want to get on the show and totally take over. And it's like, you can laugh because it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, I could get up, go make a cup of tea and come back and that person's still talking. So, you don't want to, you just need to know, record for the edit, sound bites, recognize that you want to say something, say a wonderful point, and then pause and give it some space. Let the host say, wow, that was really good. And it reminds me of such and such. And make the host look good. That's the thing. It's like, it's not a job interview. You're not getting a job at the end of it. It's a dialogue with back and forth. And I love you as a guest, Annette, because when you come on my show, sometimes you will flip it back to me and say, well, what kind of video do you do, Gillian? Or you always flip it back to me that I'm not just the introducer and I'm introducing you. And now it's the Annette, 30-minute, guest appearance. It's a dialogue and we both talk. And, one thing too, to prepare everybody to be a guest on a LinkedIn Live is go and watch some prior shows. That's the wonderful thing about LinkedIn Lives. You can go to the person's event, you can go to the person's profile. So if you wanted to say, I want to get a taste of Annette's show before I'm a guest on Annette's Live, because Annette does LinkedIn Lives, she does them every week. You could go to Annette's profile, you look on the events tab, and you can see all of her previous shows. And what you should do is, if you wanted to be a guest on Annette's show, first of all, what's her theme? What is she talking about? Like she said before, she talks about content marketing. If you're an accountant, it's probably not going to be a good fit for you. So you want to find a show that, like, what do I have that could contribute to the conversation? That's how you should be looking at it. And it's not just about, oh, I want to go and pitch my stuff. It's like, how could I help Annette's audience? How can I be someone that's providing some great content for the host audience, as well as my own audience on LinkedIn? So that's how you should be looking at it. So go and look at previous shows and make sure that you fit within the theme and see how that how that host runs their show.
Yeah, so I just want to bring a few more people in. Marcia said that she just must read for me, downloaded it at 6 a.m. And here's Tina. Well done, Kevin. I will read it and write a recommendation. Love the first two books, Gillian. And here's Jeff. In case we didn't want to have announced the other books, these are the other two books. How to Feel More Comfortable on Camera, Stand Out in Your Job Search with Video. But wait. There's more. LinkedIn Live Mastery. Okay. So yes, those are the three books that we will be looking for. And here's Gillian. I'm sorry. Here's G saying that she loves it. Record for the sound bites. And that's so true. And it is interesting too, because you're talking about the guests. And I had one on my show is like, oh, can we just start talking about his business? Because can you just share your screen? Can I just share my screen? You share your screen and we'll go to my website and start going through my stuff. I'm like, no, No, and it's, and it's luckily at the time I was newer to live and I actually didn't know how to share the screen. So I was fumbled around a little bit, but it's so true. But one of the things that I love that you talked about, the idea of being prepared because um, you can actually use that beyond repurposing and you can share how to do this because you're the one that taught me to put your guest appearances on other people's shows on your YouTube channel, on your LinkedIn profiles. Do you want to talk a little bit about how to do that?
Oh yeah, that's a missed opportunity that a lot of people are doing because it's like it's gone. It's gone. And especially too, I talk about this in the book. I had an experience where somebody got kicked off LinkedIn and the LinkedIn Live was only on LinkedIn. And that was the end of it. I lost that guest appearance. So, you have to be proactive with how can I get the recordings, but getting those on your YouTube channel, that makes sense. Having them, we talked about this week with Jeff when we were in our LinkedIn audio event this week with Media Mavens. And we talked about get those YouTube appearances on your profile and put them in your featured section, put them in your experiences. And we talked about, put yourself as a speaker, or a podcast guest or a LinkedIn Live guest. Put yourself as a guest and then get those YouTubes up there because they're just much easier than having the LinkedIn Live event.
Yeah.
And then people would see, wow, that person, they know what they're doing. I want them on my show. That's why you want to do that.
Absolutely. And I had somebody, it was actually my husband was on one of my shows talking about SEO and it's actually a really popular show. But the point of this is, when I played it back for him, he's like, wow, I sound really smart. I'm like, yeah, you you do. And I think being a guest on a show can really boost somebody's confidence when they are, when they're on there, because it is true. It's kind of, I think we can surprise ourselves by how much we know.
Yes, yes. And I'll give a great example. When I did that book, Stand Out in Your Job Search with Video, a lot of people don't know this, that was a book as a result of several of my different live appearances. And one of them was on your show, Annette, where you were more focused on career coaching at the time and resumes. And so I was on your show, I was on Sonal's show, I was on Tina's show, I was on a lot of different shows where it was coming from sort of that job search HR perspective. Now, that was not my target market, but I liked who the hosts were and I wanted to be on their shows. And then all of a sudden one day I was sitting there and I was looking at all of these different guest appearances and I went, I need to do something with this. This is a lot of content all on the same subject. And so I started combing through them and I went, okay, how could I turn this into a book? And then I realized, wow, video could be used in your job search, which is how I wrote that book. So that's why, you think about it when you're a guest on these shows, it's your best stuff. It's your thought leadership. So I invite everybody, go back through your guest appearances if you've already done LinkedIn Live appearances and say, what do I keep talking about? What are the themes that I'm talking about? Could I turn this into a book? So, because we do sound smart, because we are smart.
I love that. I love it. So I'm not quite sure what Kevin means by this. I wondered why you were all teed up when I'm on. I'm not sure what he means by that.
I don't know, but it sounds fun.
I don't know.
Kevin and I have had tea. We've gone to a tea party together. So maybe that's what he meant.
I know. I kind of feel like we should be, let me adjust my little sparklies here. I kind of feel like we should be drinking champagne or something, but
Yes.
Well,
it's 10 o'clock in the morning here.
I know. Well, here it's afternoon and it's a Friday. So, about ready for that. So, and Michelle says, so important to repurpose your video clips is right. I add my LinkedIn Lives to my media page on my website as well. Yes, yes. And again, because most of the people that I know that do LinkedIn Live shows do stream to LinkedIn and also YouTube. I started streaming to Instagram. That's kind of new. Some people stream to Facebook, but I think that the LinkedIn and also YouTube are pretty standard for most people. And so what you had taught me maybe a year ago, is that I have a playlist on my YouTube channel of my
Mhm.
guest appearances. And it's easy, just like you can create a playlist of, somebody doing yoga or something, you can create a playlist of those. And also, I want to throw this in here for you. You use a lot of those to create your speaker reel.
Yes, and I truly believe everybody should have that. Having a speaker reel is good, a sizzle reel, even just taking your LinkedIn live appearances. That's all I did for mine. I just took sort of a snippet of my best clips. And then that way, Michelle is a great example. Michelle B. Griffin, when she has a form that you fill out if you're going to be a guest on her show, and you go through and you talk about, what are your expertise, what would you talk about, your social links, and all that stuff, so that she has it handy. And she actually asks you, do you have a link so that I can see a sample of what you do? Because having a media page is awesome on your website, but if you don't have that, and by the way, go look at Michelle's, because it's a great example, because she's got her podcast appearances and she's got everything all in one, and you just go, this woman knows her stuff. Like, it shows your thought leadership by having all those different appearances. But if you don't have that, get a snippet of just a few of your appearances that you could send to somebody, because we need to see that you're media ready, that you're camera ready. Because would you not want to have someone on your show, Annette, that like has never been on video before? Because you're just like, they could freeze up. They could freeze up.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I'll say it, Jeff says, I love that being a guest on your live is an invitation to a fun conversation. And that is certainly the truth. It's certainly just that somebody commented on how much laughing we did when we were on together the other day. But that's like a whole other thing. The idea, my thought just went right out of my head. That's what happens when oh, yes. So I wanted to say one thing, and I think that it's great, the idea of live. And I've encouraged people just recently who do a podcast and they record it, but it's not live. And the beauty of live is you're done, right?
Yes.
You're done.
Yes.
You end the stream and you're done. I mean, I don't go back, to edit them. Even if I put them on my podcast, I pretty much put them up the way they are, unless there's some kind of a glitch or something.
That's what I do. I take out like nobody's going to want to sit and listen to my intro timer. So I cut that out, and I
Yep.
cut out the end music. And other than that, that just goes straight up onto my my podcast. And also too, I have a lot of savvy guests that have come on my live and said, and I freely offer the video and the audio to everybody. I'm just very, very generous, because I just think it's a win-win. So I'm always generous with my content. So I always ask my guests, if you want the copies of the files afterwards, I'm happy to share. Most people say, no, thanks. Like, they just don't want it. I used to automatically send it, and then it was just like nobody was downloading it. So I went, okay, I'm not going to do it unless you want it. But I've had several guests that have come on my show, and they've taken the audio and they've actually used it on their own podcast. And they've put in a little intro that it's like, this week is something a little bit different. I was a guest on Gillian's LinkedIn Live, and I wanted to share the audio with my audience. You think about it, that saves you doing a whole extra podcast episode. So again, brilliant, a way to repurpose just the audio.
Yeah, brilliant idea for me to put
Yes,
on
and
my
I just sent
podcast.
it to you. I just
know.
sent it to you today.
And and it's so true. And I do that too. I even go back to actually episodes from my prior podcast, which was focused on business and career, and do sometimes pull little bits of them into my new one. So here G says, yes, I was a guest on Michelle B. Griffin's show, and it was one of the best, most professional experiences I've had. Despite my wonky tech snafus, she was amazing and working through it all with me. So yes, Michelle is lovely. I'm actually excited. I'm having her on my show in a few weeks to talk about
Her book.
writing a book is part of your content marketing, because I mean, content marketing can be kind of a small topic, but it also could be really a big topic. So I'm just so I'm excited because I've never actually met her. I mean, even like on video. I first met her on Clubhouse. I remember her from there. I used to go into her rooms and she was always a very generous host there. So I kind of feel like I know her a little bit. So Marcia says, Annette Richmond, Gillian Whitney, I just uploaded my podcast also. Cool. 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 Okay. So
And by
what
the way, Annette, I just have to say that you'll enjoy speaking with Michelle. I've actually got to meet Michelle in person too, which was absolutely wonderful. When she came to Vegas, we got to be together. But again, that's the power of video, that you can have somebody who you have never met before, you meet for the first time on your live, which you think that's got to be a huge risk to have never, because like some of us don't have the time to vet our guests. We just say, okay, you know what? You're just going to show up and I'm going to meet you for the first time. And we're just going to, hope this all works. And you're just like, you're looking at your watch going, oh, it's getting kind of tight. It's like, but it always works. It just always works. But again, if you don't do video and you're not visible, no one will risk that in advance. So just goes to show you.
Yeah. It is something sometimes people get so nervous about, I guess, being live. They're afraid they're going to say, a big gaffe or something. But I don't know. I guess it's just because I've been doing it I started in 2021, which is more than 3 years ago now. And you've been doing it even longer. And I have to tell you, and I'm sure you feel the same way, when I'm live with a guest, I'm really just there with them. And we have a lot of comments coming in today, and I want to bring our friends, who are here to be with you today on the show. But it's, that's what it's like, I think, certainly for me.
It's about being in the present moment. And I do talk about that in the book, that a lot of times people are not in the present moment. And when you're not, the host feels it and the guests feel it. And it's just like, you've just like slid in and you're sliding out. And I know, Annette, we've both had that experience with some guests, and you're just like, that was, and it's surprising because sometimes the most engaging guests are the guests with the least followers, the least experience. They're brand new to LinkedIn Live. I've had so many people that it was like, they said, this is my very first time. And they're just like so excited. They're so excited. And yet they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing as first-time guests. And they don't necessarily have like 50,000 followers. They might just have 1,000 or, 600 or something like that. But that's the thing. You don't, the biggest name people aren't necessarily the best guests.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I never vet any guests like that. I may look them up on LinkedIn to see if they've been live or something, but I would, I never think about that when I invite people on my show. And I have to say, and I'm sure you feel the same way, every time I invite someone and they say yes, I am truly grateful. Because I invite them because I really would like them to come and share something, I learn from them, my audience learns from them. And it's always like, it's never like, and when I get on with someone, I'm always excited and happy to be there. And I'm always thrilled when somebody invites me as a guest. And I'm sure you're the same way.
It's an honor. It's an absolute honor. It's an honor to be a guest. And it's an honor to have a guest on your show, because you recognize people are giving up their time. They're sharing wonderful, wonderful information with your audience, and they're sharing it freely because we don't pay for guests. That's the thing. We don't charge. I'm amazed that there actually are people that do that out there. I had a friend the other day, and she let me know that, like, oh, I was invited to be on this show, and then they told me what the fee would be, and it was like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So that does happen. That does happen, but not on my show.
I've had that too. Or the speakers, like, you get, oh, you'd be perfect for our conference, and it's like, oh, it's only $1,000. Like, oh, I'm thinking not. So here's Jeff Young saying there's so much great information that can be poured forward. Post once, repurpose everywhere. And I'm reading these comments because I'm so used to putting these shows on my podcast. And so normally I read them out. And I guess I don't really need to as people are here. So sorry about that. It's a habit of mine.
No, it's good. It's good because you just never know who's going to watch the replay later. And so many people say for LinkedIn Lives that they listen. Actually, more people actually end up watching the replay than coming live. So
Yes,
it's awesome
absolutely.
that there's so many people here today. But when they do come and watch the replay, most people are multitasking. You know, they're like cleaning out their email inbox, or they're, having a cup of coffee and they're, doing a Sudoku puzzle or something while they're doing the live, or they're cooking or cleaning or, something like that. So I think it is good to record for the ear. And I've always done that by reading comments out loud. Plus, in my opinion, putting people's comments on the screen, it's so kind because it validates that person as a human being, that they showed up, they're here, it's their, few seconds of fame. And and like, I'm sure people here are getting to know each other in the comments. They're if they're not connected, so many people will connect. It's a networking event as well.
Oh yes, as I look at the comments on LinkedIn, I can see people interacting, on LinkedIn, which is always fun. So thank you so much, G. She says, I love what you just shared, Annette, about being grateful when someone accepts your invite to be on your show. I've been invited to a few almost as an afterthought, and it didn't feel good to me as a prospective guest. Sigh. Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. Well, I almost had that experience recently when this woman just contacted me and said, "Oh my gosh, can you jump on June 18th because I have a spot open?" And she's sitting right across from me right now.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I had a scheduling problem with my guest, and they had to change, and I just went, who could I just have that would be awesome in a moment's notice, would not mind hopping on the live? And it was just Annette. And it's wonderful to have your set group of people. I have like about probably 10 people that I could have on any show, and I know that they're amazing. We would have something to talk about. Even if they'd been on the week before, we could still come up with something. And with you, Annette, you're just like my favorite, because we always get together and always have so much fun. So much fun.
Well, I feel that way too. And it is nice. It's, for me, it's always a treat to meet someone. So let's turn back because we've been on for a while. Let's turn back to your book. I know that you don't like to be, have the spotlight on you, but how can you, and I'm sure you have some tips in there, make your host want to have you come back again?
Probably help market after the show and before the show. It's like, essentially, the host wants you to get butts in seats, So it's like, do your best to help with the marketing. Don't leave it all to the host. And this is the same whether we're talking about a LinkedIn Live or a podcast. It doesn't matter. It's the same deal. So if you're going to be on a LinkedIn Live, let people know. The very least that you can do is repost the live to your own profile so that there's some visibility. What you can do is, in addition to that, you could do a post. You could do it could be a video post. It could be just a graphic post. It could be a text post, but you just want to get some visibility and let people know. You can invite people. That's a simple thing. It's like, that's a very passive thing, because you're just like, click, 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 click. And, choose your invites carefully. I wouldn't just say, okay, just do every single person, let's just do 10,000 people here. It's like, you want to go, who could benefit from what this discussion is, and then invite those. And you can even send not email, but actually you can send an email to your email list. So that's another way you can promote a show. But you can also send a DM to special people. So I did an example the other day. I think I was doing a video about it, and I used Jeff as an example. And I literally went in and I sent him, I just shared an event and it went straight into the DMs, and I was able to type in a little message. LinkedIn did it for me automatically, but I wanted to actually personalize it. And I did it as a video example. And I think it was in maybe Linnaire's article. Sometimes I do stuff, I don't even remember what I'm doing it for. But that's an example of before the show. And then after the show, it's like share your takeaways. That's just an easy win. I was on Annette's show and it was awesome. We talked about these things. You really should check it out. Or make an article and then embed the live inside the article. That there's so many different ways that you can help promote the show and host like that, because it's hard to do all this marketing by yourself, correct?
Oh, yes. And I have to say, because I do them weekly and you do them weekly. A lot of people that we know do their shows weekly. My promotion is mostly once, on Sundays, where I put out a list of all of my upcoming shows with the links for people to, to join them. But I have been also trying as I'm posting on promoting on Instagram more, to share like an image saying that we're on like in 2 days, put it out on Tuesday. We were out on Thursday. So, what other tips do you have in your little brainy head there that you would like? Oh, here we go. All right. So I want to say Marcia Lee, quality trumps quantity every time. So please forgive me as I look off to the side. I have my camera on this sort of arm, and it's in front of the screen. So I have to look into the comments to actually see the comments. So I apologize for that. It's not like I'm looking away. And here's Gillian says, you probably talk about this in your book, but one quick guest tip I just thought of: make sure to go back and engage in the comments. The audience tags you in. Nothing burns me out more than when I comment on people's show and the host and the guest ignore the comments. We as guests should go back and engage. Goes back to our brands. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think what she was mentioning, the idea that, when I'm commenting on your show, and it goes, your audience sees it as well as my audience. So I think that's something, but it is true, the comments. And now it seems to be a little bit easier to get into the comments and respond than it used to be.
It used to be really hard.
Yeah,
It used to be
in there, it was
really
like,
hard.
It start moving around. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yes. It was almost at a point where you had to almost like watch the whole replay to get to the comments, but now it's a lot easier. But that is a sad thing when people ignore the comments, whether it's the host or the guest or both. And it's like the audience is like, okay, why am I helping to promote your show and adding in a comment and nobody addressed it? And I even go back and address comments that I addressed during the show, because other people, they might just be reading the comments and they want it in writing. We all consume things differently. So you can hear something during the live and maybe I mention a book or something like that, and you're just like, okay, I didn't catch that title, and I don't want to have to replay the whole live. So, typing in, okay, this is the book that I mentioned, such and such, whatever. Those are just so important to do. And mention people. Make sure that you tag those persons back in the comment, because otherwise they might not know that you ever did that.
Yes, that's true, because I have missed things where people, and I know some people don't tag. I try to tag as much as I can, just because I want to make sure the person knows that, that I've commented. And here's Jeff saying that Gillian and I collaborated on a newsletter about attending a LinkedIn Live. We covered what to do before, during, and after the live. And I have to say, you are so smart. I actually have a checklist before my live that I got from you years ago. I've modified it a little bit because I have the dogs, but it's like, make sure your lights are on. Make sure your, phone is off the hook if you have a landline, and you go through it because it's your list. So you tell it.
Well, you have to. And my list is like 10 pages long. It's ridiculous. But it's like everything that I have with my live. But yes, before going live, you have to have a checklist because you could just forget something so easily and just go, oh, I forgot to plug in the internet. Like I forgot to plug in my internet connection. It could be so easy. And literally the most important thing is like putting your computer on do not disturb, because you don't want to start hearing bings and dings. And we hear those with your guests. And all of a sudden it's like you're hearing stuff. I had somebody who took a phone call once in the middle of the live, or I don't think she took a phone call, but she like answered a text, and it was just like, but that happens.
We'll come back.
Right. But that happens. And so you just have to go through. Same thing with pets. I talk about this in the book, that it's like one time I was doing a live, and it was like one of my first ones, and my husband went out, and the dog, I had my dog Max then, and the dog was perfectly quiet before the live. And then as soon as we started taping, him hearing my voice, because I was getting so passionate, he started barking. And it was like, oh my gosh. So luckily I had like some dog treats on my desk, and I just kind of like fed him under the table. And by the end of the live, he was like lying on his back going, oh, I can't believe I ate the whole thing. I gave him the whole bag.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm very particular about. I do that too with our dogs. They have them on either side of the gate. I have the door closed, and every once in a while, you can still hear the really loud mouth barking. So I keep saying I need to put a little soundproofing on my door. But yeah, it's you never know. I've had the phone ring because I forget to turn off the phone or turn down the sound on my cell phone, which is kind of always with me. Like I don't know, like it's it's keeping me alive or something. But it's true. There's so many distractions, things. And one more thing that I want you to talk about, because we're getting close to,
Yep.
almost to the
We should
hour
wrap
point.
up soon. We should wrap up.
Okay. I'm sorry to keep.
No. Go ahead. So what's
So-
the
So
one
the
other
last
thing?
thing is what to do when things go wrong. Just a quick tip.
Laugh. Like just, you cannot control everything. I have a thing in my journal, and it's on a sticky note, and it says, you can't control everything. And that's why you have your hair. Because I cannot control my hair. My hair is just like, it does what it does. It's curly, it's frizzy, it does whatever. And it's to remind me there's no such thing as being in control. So you have to let go of those perfectionist tendencies. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't still use that checklist, make sure the dog has dog treats and do not disturbs and all that. We do as much as we can proactively. But at the end of the day, if your husband walks in and says, just wanted to let you know the laundry's done, then just go, thanks, and move forward, laugh, have a giggle. And you know what? Your audience is okay about that. Unexpected things happen. So lean in, smile, and just keep moving forward. But don't let it hang you up. So if all of a sudden, if my microphone went out, I shouldn't be sitting here fiddling for the next 5 minutes trying to fix it. I should quickly find a fix and move forward, because that's what people want. They want you to just get on with it. So if my light goes out, my light goes out. I'll do the rest of the live in the dark.
Okay. Well, I think that is a perfect way to end our little time together. Thank you so much, Gillian. Thank you so much. Happy congratulations on your book. I'm so excited to read it. Thanks to everyone who's been here with us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. And thanks, Annette.